I Can't Sleep is an animation YouTube channel that consists of very violent and dark stories and imagery combined with an art style many would describe as scene. The scene art style is reminiscent of early 2000s Flash games or Newgrounds Flash animations, and the quality and frame rate of I Can't Sleep animations also reflects the time period that this style is taken from. The style is very much contrasting the tone of these videos, making each story just a little bit more unsettling. Every video seems like a reason to vent about issues or fears, with almost every video including the main character dying in some random way. I Can't Sleep has a total of 80 videos as of recording, and the creator has been uploading semi-consistently for 3 years, starting on May 11th of 2021. But we're gonna go through the most significant videos in every playlist to create a proper story behind this channel and what it all represents. Part 1 starts with the girl looking in a mirror with her medication, and the mirror flashes a demon with his hands on the sides before the girl puts her keys on a hanger and she leaves the building. Since she leaves her keys on a hanger where a bunch of other keys are, we can assume that maybe this is like where she works or something of the sort, with her own office like in Don't Get Your Hopes Up, which we'll discuss later. She leaves and notices she has to roam through a whole forest to get home, so she begins her journey. This girl is the main character of the channel, with her being in the profile picture. She doesn't have an official name given by I Can't Sleep, but the community surrounding this channel has named her Nia, which was made from the last 3 letters of insomnia. Really creative work, guys. Nia looks at the building behind her and notices the windows are boarded up. She's very worried when she's looking at the building, and we'll talk about why in a different section of the video. After she's done walking through the forest, she finally sees her city, supposedly where her home is according to this playlist. As Nia walks into the city, her clothing and walking pace changes, possibly to represent a point in time, like a flashback or a time skip. Her clothing changes from a dress and boots to sandals and a straitjacket. The idea of a flashback is further explored as a tall man with a tool belt and a walkie-talkie walks behind her, as if she's being escorted from an asylum by a police officer. As she's walking, she flashes back to normal, with her clothes being reverted back to boots and a black dress. She's at the end of the road, and she's at the start of a path of bloody footsteps that leads into an alleyway. The alleyway makes a very ominous sound, almost convincing her to walk into the alleyway. Part 5 is mostly her staring into the alleyway until something makes a sound and she looks at a pole with something moving like a cape. While Nia's staring into the alleyway, a bell tolls and she starts walking into the alleyway. Nia is following the bloody trail and white outlines of the floor appear, and then little grids with eyes and crosses and swirls and tentacles appear, until more grids and eyes and crosses and swirls appear. And then Celtic crosses start appearing on the walls and eyes appear over Nia, but they're shifting much slower than the wall, like they're in the background behind the walls, but they're still visible. After some walking, everything disappears and the dark alleyway gets replaced with a red city with an eye in the middle. Nia gets down on the floor and the background disappears, which is the end of Way Back Home so far. This playlist is more of an introduction to the story, with this introduction actually being like around the middle or the end of the story of I Can't Sleep. But we'll get back to Way Back Home later. It's also partially used for some foreshadowing for some elements in the upcoming playlists, like the next one we're going to go over. I Woke Up in a Strange Place starts with the main character of the channel waking up strapped to a table, butt booty naked. The video starts with Nia as an angel, just to wake up with a shot from a green needle. Wow, that calms her down. The person with the needle is supposedly a doctor, based on the clothing alone. So the main character is in an asylum or a mental hospital of some sort. Again starts with the angel from the last video. Again, she immediately wakes up to the table she was originally strapped in, but with extra tubes around her. While comparing the 2 frames from Again and I Woke Up in a Strange Place, I noticed that her hair is much different and the border around the screen changes too. In the first video, there are no tubes, but the border is filled in and more scribbled out. And her hair is spiky like how it is in every other video. The outlines of her body and the table are much cleaner in the first video. But in the second video, her hair is much more scraggly and she has a bandage over her left eye from the first video. These little details may represent her perspective versus what's actually happening, as Nia is only concerned about why she's strapped down to a table with her mouth covered, but she's not seeing the full picture of where she really is or why she's there in the first place, which we'll get to later. Little Sister introduces a very important character in the series, the Little Sister. She's shown with a doll head tied around her actual head to cover her face. The last 3 seconds show her mask on the ground, covered in blood, and she's floating. She's in creative mode right now. Don't worry about the feet. Exploring starts with 2 guys wearing masks walking into the asylum, with a little bit of the outside being revealed in the process. While they're exploring, a hand reaches out and kills one of the crewmates. The second one is killed by a rush or something, and the video cuts to the outside of the asylum. This video serves no purpose. Run starts with a guy walking through the asylum with an inverted color scheme, and based on the clothing alone, it's probably Nia with the little curly dress thing. There's a little bit of text on the wall scribbled in Japanese. The text on the wall says run, but Nia is obviously just such a genius, and instead of like running, she walks. Fucking preposterous. Even worse, she walks to the right. This video cuts to black and cuts to a guy getting a needle injected into his ear, to which the video cuts back to the outside of the asylum. Get Down is a parody of the animation meme of the same name, which is animated to fit the story of insanity. It starts with Nia in what I can assume is a broken straitjacket, doing poses in the same way of the original animation meme, but with blood splattering all over the screen with every pose. Eventually, she stops and starts panting, and the video ends at that point. I Miss You covers the part of the story with the little sister that we left off on earlier. The video starts with a bunch of scribbles in a dark room, with all of them scrolling downwards, revealing the little sister laying down. This wall is the equivalent of that one Fortnite loading screen. The wall gives very subtle hints to the story of I Can't Sleep overall, but the most important details are the Celtic crosses and the face with the scraggly hair next to the very suspicious looking wand. We'll discuss who the face is very soon. The little window opens up and the sister starts looking through it. Nia pops up into the window to supposedly free the little sister. Sky starts with Nia sitting at night with the stars resembling stitches and the moon drawn like an eyeball. While the main character is sitting, the moon stares at her and the stars start opening up like stitches. The video starts with Nia looking through the doorway, to which a shadowy figure stands over the bed across the room from her. Nia blinks and the bed now contains a blood stain instead of whoever was in it originally. She blinks again to a figure wearing one of those doctor discs standing over her. This audio really makes the visuals a little bit scarier. Insanity could represent her experience with medication or a mental hospital and her isolation from her family. Her sister in specific, because she's the only one mentioned in the playlist. She doesn't really care for her mother at all in this series, and we'll discuss why very soon. A little detail I've noticed is her personality or mood changes also reflect the border around the screen. In her dreams, when she's an angel, she's happy and the border is much more straight and clean. But when she wakes up, the border goes back to scribbles all around the screen. Insanity is all about Nia's experience in an asylum or mental hospital, as Nia's kind of in free roam, wandering around the halls of the asylum like in I Miss You and Run. But these videos are also about her perspective and her mental state, which is shown declining while she's in the asylum. Nia's sister is also in the asylum with her, and the reason why either of them would be in here will be discussed in their own separate playlist. The beginning shot is of a window zooming in to reveal a black cloaked figure staring at us. It could be a window or like a grave, but I'm gonna say it's a window because I feel like it. The figure says, "Do not get your hopes up," which wakes up Nia in her shift. She locks up for the night and is about to leave the building until the lights flicker. And she doesn't mind it at first until the lights flicker closer towards her and a black figure is suddenly in the shadows. The figure is the cloaked figure from her dream, which grabs Nia and kills her, which causes her to wake up. Nia wakes up again and runs from the figure this time. She closes the door behind her and tries to keep it shut until the cloaked figure stabs her through the door. The figure tells her no resurrection without crucifixion, which causes her to wake up again. Nia runs away this time and runs from the door. She hides in a corner and notices that a tweaker is above her and it releases red tentacles which kill her, causing her to wake up. Nia runs from the shadow figure, runs from the door, and hides in the corner. But this time she curls up and the figure suddenly gets killed or stopped by a Celtic cross, which stops the loop and ends the playlist. Don't Get Your Hopes Up supposedly takes place in the same setting or storyline as Way Back Home, as Nia is caught using the same key to lock her office that she puts away at the start of Way Back Home. But Don't Get Your Hopes Up is called Don't Get Your Hopes Up because she keeps dying, escaping what she's died from before, being relieved, and then dying again. Rinse repeat for like 4 videos straight. The final video was of her escaping because of a Celtic cross that killed one of the creatures, killing her. The Celtic cross is used very frequently when mentioning the cloaked figure hallway monster who doesn't go away or disappear for any amount of time throughout the channel. He's always somewhere in the series, but he's just now appearing in Don't Get Your Hopes Up, and we especially see him more in this next playlist. They're Coming starts with a red nightmarish hallway with eyes looking at a character walking through the hallway. The black figure walks past 3 chambers with 2 of the people inside tweaking and the one in the middle completely static. With only the hair for speculation, I assume that this static character is the main character, Nia, and the victim of everything in the upcoming videos. The black figure shows off his nice shoes, his Balenciaga, as he walks towards a door that says "Welcome to Hell." This door is an elevator that the figure walks into. The black figure stands in the elevator with a bunch of gas station tweakers. The black cloaked figure is very important to the Nightmare storyline and appears, I think, in almost every video. He's here starts with Nia with a collar on and her tongue sticking out. This channel's freaky as shit. The video cuts to a field with a bunch of what I can assume are dead trees, and the video cuts back to Nia again, but she stops smiling, and for a frame you can see her in a completely different look. Her eyes are bulging and bloodshot, and her hair is thinner and messier. More shading is applied to her, and even more detail overall, possibly representing what she actually looks like instead of the art style used earlier. It cuts to the cloaked figure in the elevator from the previous video, but without any tweakers. Then it cuts to Nia standing on a tall building with text on it. And then it shows the same field from earlier but red, and the cloaked figure is standing in the field. The dead trees are now crosses with things on them, and the video is too monochromatic, and I can't see any other detail. Surprise starts with the cloaked figure emerging from a symbiote pool next to Nia. She emerges to give her a gift that contains a red puff of smoke. The smoke lingers for a moment before stunning Nia and going away. The smoke is revealed to give the main character dysentery, like Oregon Trail, and she dies in an oddly detailed fashion. So that gift was actually meant to represent the gift of puberty, and she had her period. Bathroom starts with Nia finding a good stall in the bathroom. Every door is locked and she refuses to check the middle one for some reason. The middle one was the only one unlocked, but I guess she just hates being in between two other stalls. While she's using the bathroom, she starts tweaking and looking around, only to reveal that one guy is dead in the left stall, and the toilet for the right stall got hit with a tool gun, and the cloaked figure is just sitting there skipping class or some shit, I don't know. The cloaked figure looks over the stall with the main character, and the video ends. Leave Me Alone opens with Nia staring directly at the camera while sitting on the floor. It zooms out to reveal that she's in a room with text saying "Leave me alone." There's a gun on the floor. Or, sorry. There's a pew-pew on the floor. There's a pew-pew on the floor next to her, and she points it at herself. And there's a spooky feller looking through the window, and the video ends before anything happens. Shower shows Nia taking a shower, and the water turns off while she's showering. She's in a public shower, and nobody else is in it until there is. A slender, dark, very heavily shaded character with long black hair stands over her, and the video cuts to black and ends. The subway takes place in the subway. Nia is shown sitting, and the cloaked figure from earlier sits with her. He starts rubbing his knee against her knee, and when it's her stop, she leaves and the screen turns to a red area with an eye. She gets dragged through the floor and dies, and the video ends. Movie night starts with Nia sitting in her seat. Nobody else is in the shower. Nobody else is with her in the theater, so she's probably watching Am I Racist? She takes her shoes off and puts her gross-ass dogs on the chair below her. The movie starts and the projector is red. The whole theater turns red, so she must be in one of those XD theaters. Fucking rich people. Everyone else starts walking in, but they're all tweakers. Eventually, tweakers fill the theater and kill her, and the movie ends. In Bad Morning, Nia is in a pot, and the cloaked figure boils her in the pot with a little jump scare. Sins of the Flesh was the first video I discovered from I Can't Sleep, by the way, if you just wanted to know. Just like if you're wondering. Just like if you were curious. It starts with Nia on her bed, gripping the bed sheet and the bottom half of her cropped out. It cuts to black, and then her clothes are ripped apart, and her eyes are empty and huge with a big frown from ear to ear. A shifting movement is making her move up and down, so she's probably doing that one thing that you'll learn about when you're older. The video cuts to her with black, empty eyes, an extreme amount of shading, and blood coming from her bottom half. The shifting comes with a loud grinding sound, reminiscent of that sound that was heard in Way Back Home in the alleyway, and the video ends. Walk With Me starts with a hallway that zooms into the main character, offering to walk together. She's frowning and her eyes are huge, so it's either an art style thing or she's dead. While you're walking, a cluster of eyes appear to replace the ceiling and the hallway becomes red. The doors have people trying to get out, pushing on the doors with their hands and their faces in the windows, and the sounds of groaning can be heard. She stops in her tracks and looks straight at you. Her eyes are sunken and black, and heavy shading is applied to her face. In Peephole, you're a random person looking through a peephole in the end of a hallway. The girl walks towards the peephole, and she's too short, so she stretches her neck like the teacher from Little Nightmares 2, and she looks at the camera. When you blink, the room is red and her eyes are black. When you blink again, the room is white again, but there's text on the wall. It's snowing out, and Nia is looking for the perfect snowflake. When she touches the snowflake, her hand starts to bleed. Then she gets a paper cut in the worst spot and dies because of it. And the cloaked figure walks up to her while she's on the floor, and red text appears saying the nightmare is just beginning, even though we're already halfway through the playlist. Might want to double check your calendar. The cloaked figure starts strangling Nia with a rope with thorns. She wakes up to see that she's not actually choking, and the cloaked figure is just part of her nightmares. Hole starts off with a red pulsating hole, and Nia is standing over the hole. After a moment, she realizes a hole is in her belly button, and the hole becomes an eye and looks up at her. For me, shows the cloaked figure handing Nia a rose. She crushes the rose and takes its color and becomes red. It might just be an unnecessary detail, but the border of the screen is more curly compared to the rest of the videos. Like how she feels comfort or trust in this one video, as this same border never appears again in the entire channel. The cloaked figure handing Nia a rose as a gift may represent a toxic or manipulative relationship, as the lack of remotely positive gifts present in any other video makes this video stand out. You can spot that Nia hesitates before taking the rose, but this obviously could show another sign of this toxic relationship that she has with the cloaked figure, as the cloaked figure has done nothing good for her for the entire channel from what I know. Freedom starts with Nia strapped to a balloon, flying over black and white buildings with red text. The text reads, "Are you feeling peace? Freedom?" There's a small red line of text, but it's like deadass completely unreadable. She flies to the same tower from He's Here, but the cloaked figure is standing on the building now. And the video ends as the main character stops floating towards the cloaked figure. Inside shows Nia trying to sleep. Every time she tries to sleep, a spider sound interrupts her sleeping. After the second sound plays, a ear-piercing screech plays in her ear, causing a red tentacle to come out of her ear. Punishment is the most popular video from I Can't Sleep, likely because of the odd thumbnail. But this isn't a clickbait video, so whatever people feared from the thumbnail is exactly in this video. Nia is tied up and by her hands with a little spike that comes from the ground. And I know you freaky viewers, you you silly little viewers, you can fill in the blanks on what happens next. Nia is back in the subway, but on her phone, across from the cloaked figure. But it's a different cloaked figure because you can see part of his face. While she's on her phone, he starts tweaking the fuck out. And instead of going away from the tweaker like she was originally considering, she opens her camera app and tries to take photo of the tweaker, dude. Who does that, bro? New York, I guess, bro. He doesn't appear from her phone because he's a ghost. And the sound of her dropping her phone plays and the video ends. This video is basically telling you the story instead of dropping little hints. It's tired of all this funny business. It's giving you the full fucking story at this point. Oh my god. Nia is sitting in a corner in what I can't assume is a therapy room, based on the big chair and the little mattress next to each other. Every time she closes her eyes, the cloaked figure from her nightmares is walking towards her. She tries to resist until she eventually takes a sip of coffee to make her feel better, but it doesn't keep her awake, and she wakes up dead after the cloaked figure fully walks into the camera.
Got a surprise for you.
Punishment 2 starts with Nia on the building from two previously discussed videos, but it's very blue, presumably at night or something. She considers jumping off, but the screen cuts to her being crucified in a red hellscape with other people also crucified and skulls all over the floor. Since the background is red, it's safe to assume that she didn't jump off and fell asleep or something. As the red environment, the red background may represent the dreamscape that Nia is usually in Nightmare. Mom's cat emoji is a part of a fragment of a new storyline which introduces the family of Nia, starting with her sister from Insanity with the doll head. Mom's cat emoji starts with the mom sitting while manspreading, but a cat is very thankfully saving this video. A spirit appears in the doorway behind her, and a red dot appears that makes the spirit a red glowing outline and also gives the mother a face instead of a bunch of scribbles. The spirit, I guess, possessed the mother, and she starts coloring the censor bar cat red with crayons because everything's black and white like a coloring book. It's getting really hard to analyze this channel. It's getting really hard to analyze these videos without losing my video in the process. Nia is in her bedroom or something of the sort. Two figures start fading into the window. One resembles a little girl with pigtails and another with scraggly hair in a bathrobe. They're her sister and her mom. She tries to walk up to them and interact with her sister, and she left hooks her mom. Nia tries opening up the doll mask, but what she sees causes her to zip it back up. A bunch of black figures start fading in, and Nia grabs her sister and runs away, following after her mother. She asks about her father, and her mother says that he's sleeping. Nia falls into water and the screen becomes blue, and she's suddenly at a pond surrounded by tall grass. Nia asks her mom to help her kill the figures following them, but her mother tells her to do it herself after revealing her face. Mutter is incredibly important in the I Can't Sleep story, but we'll get to the full meaning in just a little bit. You'll have to wait for dessert. You'll have to eat your dinner first. Nia is sitting in the bathroom, and behind her is a mannequin with no arms or legs, but one big old eye staring at her, with blood coming from the mannequin. Nightmare is used to flesh out the cloaked figure a little bit more, even though his mystery is still kept like throughout the entire channel and series. But from what we know, the cloaked figure is the boogeyman of I Can't Sleep. He creates traumatizing scenes in Nia's nightmares, like in Bathroom or Sins of the Flesh, which represent assault and whatever rhymes with that one synonym of monkey. It rhymes with great! With him tormenting and killing Nia constantly in her dreams, causing her to develop insomnia. In I Can't Sleep, Nia is struggling to go to sleep because of this cloaked figure, but eventually he catches up to her as she's falling asleep, causing her to die after she reaches her location in her dreams. He appears very frequently in I Can't Sleep, like as the hallway creature in Don't Get Your Hopes Up, and an important character in the playlist we're talking about next. Underwater starts with Nia dangling her feet in the pond from the end of Mutter from Nightmare. I feel like I'm saying mutter weird. Mutter. And she sees a shadowy figure come from the other side of the pond. It's wearing a black cloak like the one from Nightmare, and you can't see its face either. He walks into the pond and goes completely underwater, to which Nia takes her feet out of the water. Like any smart protagonist, she survived one of the encounters from the cloaked figure, but this takes place in real life during her childhood, so before Nightmare takes place. Nia is sitting by the shore, to which the cloaked figure slowly walks up behind her. You can only spot him based on the footprints in the sand that you might not even notice when you watch this video for the first time, or until it's too late. He stops in his tracks behind Nia and kills her before walking away with bloody footprints. Nia is in an elevator or some kind of enclosed space. When she blinks, a four-eyed creature appears for the one frame that her eyes are closed. The sun rises and Nia wakes up to a missing tooth, so she checks under her pillow to find a big-ass coin. The next morning, she wakes up to find another missing tooth, but she gets another big coin. The next morning, the tooth fairy forgets to slash TP before the camera changed angles, and we get a small glimpse of the tooth fairy. The next frame shows Nia without any teeth, and her jaw opened just a little bit more than normal. Nia turns on her lamp, and she has two shadows, with one shadow eventually opening its eyes at the end of the video. It's 11:30 a.m. Nia is in the corner of her room, like something is cornering her or preventing her from leaving her room. She eventually blinks and the room is now dark. A shadowy figure is staring at her from across her room. When she blinks again, two extra people appear in front of her, and then the cameraman's camera blinks and everyone is looking at the cameraman instead, to which the video ends. Nia finds herself in front of a rock maze in a white, foggy forest. She's at a younger stage of her life, as her hair is less spiky and she's wearing a white dress reminiscent of her older videos on the channel, where a portion of childhood was released. When she reaches the middle of the maze, she's presented with a skull and some rocks. She tries to leave the maze but ends back up in the middle of the maze. She tries a couple more times, but she only ends up in the middle again. Even though she could walk over the rocks, I think her lack of doing so represents some underlying theme in this video. After some time, the cloaked figure looks over her, struggling to leave the maze, and he took the ceremonial robe off. He's got spiky hair, but we only see his hair as his face is completely blank, with a little bit of shadow over part of his face. He tells her, "Don't cry, look for a way out." Nia finally reaches the end of the maze, but she's aged up into her current look with the spiky hair and the black outfit. But in front of her is a spiky Celtic cross with skulls at the base. This video may represent trying to recover from illness or trauma, which Nia has been seen going through for the entire channel. Nia keeps trying to escape and recover, but she only ends up back at the beginning. The uncloaked figure's message doesn't seem very useful, as it doesn't really give much hope to Nia, but she found a way out anyways, just for the uncloaked figure to present her with more shit. The Celtic cross in this scenario may represent a symbol of permanent damage that came from her trauma, and it's being constantly rubbed in her face, always tormenting her in some way. And even when she thinks she's found the exit, she still gets reminded of it, like it stays with her, and she's trying to move on from it. Childhood was a good way to connect a couple of confusing ends together, like the pond from Nightmare representing Nia going through childhood memories in her dream to confront or revisit her family. Childhood also isn't an incredibly story-based playlist, but it contains story elements. Videos like Childhood or Tooth Fairy represent childhood fears or concepts that are made just a bit more extreme with the I Can't Sleep art style. Dolls takes place in the perspective of the sister, whose room contains dolls all over her bed and her nightstand. She wakes up to a group of doctors staring over her. These doctors remove her eyes and her tongue so she can't speak, and they lock her up in an asylum, I guess, which was why she was in insanity. A really good theory by XZ4NS was that she had multiple personality disorder, which was only determined based on the condition of the dolls in different timestamps. In the beginning at 03, both dolls have both ears and their eyes, but after the surgery that made her lose her eyes and her tongue, the bunny has one eye and the bear has one ear, with a bunch of extra stitches applied to both dolls. And maybe the little sister has developed these personalities from the mother, who has been mentioned a couple times and has been seen in very negative light throughout the channel. Or the surgery. The surgery could represent something that gave her this mental illness that would eventually result in her being locked up in the asylum in insanity. The story takes place before the start of or sometime during Way Back Home, from what I can assume based on the windows and the doorway and the clouds, reminiscent of the beginning of Way Back Home. Nia is in school and she notices a photograph fly through the sky and land on the ground. The photo is of this girl who is only mentioned in this video. Nia thinks this photo is so cool that she brings it home, and in her window is a shadowy figure looking over her. The figure fades away as Nia wakes up, so she runs in a hurry to go catch the lady from the photo. But in doing so, she gets ran over by a car because she jumps into traffic to save the girl, I think, because there's no other reason she would jump into oncoming traffic. Nia is sitting going through channels on the TV, and the first two make silly little references to creepypastas that didn't become their own video. While changing channels, she comes across a news channel about a murderer. She gets mad bored, so she turns off the channel. She sees a figure in her window through the reflection of the TV screen, and it's the killer. So she calls 911, but when she looks through the window again, she sees that the killer is no longer behind the other side of the mirror. This video takes place in between Way Back Home Part 2 or 3, as Nia is still in the forest with the same sky and the same curly little dress thing. Nia walks into the decrepit home in the middle of the forest to see a ton of portraits on the walls. They all resemble screaming faces or blank white masks, but Nia ignores all the faces and goes to sleep. When she wakes up, all the portraits are gone and Nia is now a portrait, I think. Editor's note. She's not in the portrait, and the original creepypasta this is based off of is called Cabin in the Woods. In the original story, a hunter is going through the woods and finds a cabin to sleep in. The cabin is surrounded by unsettling portraits staring down at him. When he wakes up in the morning, the portraits are now windows. So those were windows and not, I don't know. They didn't look like windows, but they were windows. Eyeless Jack is an animated depiction of the original photo, but he takes his mask off to reveal a bunch of static underneath. A young lad takes a drawing from a tree, which is the funny little circle with the X that is seen frequently in any Slenderman related content on the internet. After he takes the photo, Slenderman appears and kills him, and the video ends. Smile Dog is the original photo, but with a red hand moving in the background, throwing up gang signs probably. After a few moments, a red figure starts tapping on the window until it jump scares you. But it's like the other photo, because there's two different versions of Smile Dog for some reason. Creepypasta isn't a very important playlist, but the most important video is Dolls, which gives context on the mystery of the sister, who is very important in the story of I Can't Sleep. Morning shows Nia in the morning next to her phone. After some time, a horrific beast shows up on screen and then crawls off screen. Scariest part of the channel, not gonna lie. Nia's phone goes off and she turns it off immediately. The mom is shown tweaking the fuck out on the stairs until we see her face for just a moment, and then Nia is shown recording her. Nia broke her arm and started hitting her cast against a table for 1 whole minute until it breaks and her arm is free and completely fine. Nia is sitting in a bath until she's not and the bathwater is red. And Nia sticks her head out of the bathwater and stares at the camera for the rest of the video. On the bathtub, there's a little rectangle with what I can assume is writing or something on it, and an open bottle of Perks. Nia pours herself a beverage from after drinking the milk from the she dies. In toes, Nia gets stabbed in the toes. Peak cinema. Nia is trick-or-treating, and while she's trick-or-treating, a mysterious cloaked figure gives her 2 pieces of candy. But the candy is actually 2 eyeballs, and they're both of her eyeballs. How did he do that? I like that Nia replaced the traditional border of the average video to be cobwebs with a spider, because this one's about Halloween. It's not that important, but it's a cool detail anyways. Nia is walking in a field while a scarecrow slowly makes its way towards her from the background. When the scarecrow reaches Nia, it takes her head and then puts it on because it doesn't have a head. This video is different from the other morning because it's called morning with a lowercase m instead. And because the morning with a capital M was made 1 month ago, and this morning was made 3 years ago. It's special. Nia's looking at herself in the mirror, and an ominous bear-shaped figure opens the door. Morning could represent that feeling of dread that people get when they have to wake up in the morning and start their day. I don't know if it's Nia or some figure with scraggly hair, but for this video, I'll assume it's Nia. So a bunch of swords keep sticking out of her head, and they keep sneezing red liquid until it gets on the screen. This is probably what migraines feel like. I don't know. I haven't had one in like 20 years. Nia is in her room doing diddly squat until her stomach rumbles, and she looks in her fridge and nothing is in it. So she goes outside and goes to buy food, but literally nothing is outside. All assets have yet to load in, but she sticks her hand out into the void and her hand comes out completely skinless. Hunger could represent maybe a feeling of isolation or being introverted. She doesn't want to go outside, but she does and gets harmed for it. Maybe it represents a fear of going outside and leaving her comfort zone. Her losing her hand is a dramatic way to express that fear. Nia's in her bedroom laying down until she feels like picking up her phone, but when she tries to, something kills her and she dies, and the thing under her bed tries to leave the bed, but the video cuts before we can see what it looks like. This video may represent a common fear children have of a monster under their bed or in their closet. Now that we have all the puzzle pieces given to us, I can say that we can say that I can say that we can create a proper story from these playlists. Starting off, the cloaked figure. Who is the cloaked figure? The cloaked figure is a very frequently seen character, being seen as far as the second video on the channel in underwater. But the cloaked figure seems to haunt Nia constantly. Constantly. Like how he keeps appearing in her nightmares and assaults or kills her in almost every video he's seen in. He torments her throughout her entire life, but he could also represent trauma manifested into being, like her being assaulted in a bathroom, or him being an overall creepy character like in Subway or Elevator or underwater. He's also a symbol of fear or general pain, like in Surprise when Nia has her period and it kills her, or in Don't Get Your Hopes Up when he's just in the dark, like a fear of the dark. The cloaked figure represents all things to worry about and all negative feelings and things, like how all he does is torture, kill, or discomfort Nia in every video he's in. He's so threatening to Nia that he haunts her dreams, killing her in every dream, causing her to develop insomnia, which is where the name I Can't Sleep came from. Now that we've covered the purpose of the cloaked figure, what's the issue with Nia's family? Nia likes her sister, but she perceives her mom as trashy or negative. The trashy idea is mostly explored in Mom's cat emoji because this isn't a very good look, especially as a mother. Her face is completely scribbled out and she's only seen with a robe and lingerie on. When her face is shown, it's an empty pit like that one secret in Animal Crossing. Nia has distanced herself away from her family, which is why they're almost never present in the channel. Her sister could not be alive and her mom could be dead too. And her dad just isn't in the picture according to Mutter in the Nightmare playlist. Mutter is one of the most important videos for understanding the mystery behind Nia's family. Nia rediscovers her family, and her first action is to punch her mom because she's neglectful or trashy or an overall terrible person. But she removes the doll mask from her sister, which we've seen in Dolls in the creepypasta playlist. But while she's with her sister, these figures appear. They're zombies that appear just to create more tension and progress the story. While Nia's running from these zombies, her mother just walks away so nonchalantly and completely disregards her daughters, to which Nia asks, "Where's father?" And mother responds, "Dad's sleeping, don't you remember?" Nia falls into a pond, but the pond is surrounded by tall grass and it has a little dock. This pond is underwater in childhood. Nia is revisiting old memories in her dreams with her family being included in those memories. And Nia remembers her mother neglecting her and her sister as shown in Mutter. The sister could actually be dead and the trauma from her sister's passing is locked away behind the doll mask, which Nia prefers to keep repressed and hidden away. I Can't Sleep does have a full story, but a small portion of videos consist of fears that people have throughout their lives, like a monster under their bed or feeling that someone is watching them in the shower. But another part of these videos are just feelings that people have in their lives, like having to wake up in the morning or hearing a sound that keeps you up or interrupts your attempt in going back to sleep. A difficult part of finding the full accurate story of I Can't Sleep is the many interpretations and theories that surround the full story and the many different meanings that many different videos could hold. But there are many general parts of the story that can connect one whole story, so I'm gonna go over those pieces as well. I Can't Sleep's videos seem like vent animations at first. They're made with very unclean lines and animation, with most videos having a deeper meaning that is expressed through disturbing or uncomfortable actions. And they are vent videos. They're all about fear and all these traumatic circumstances, like being neglected or even being murdered? Where does it all begin? I Can't Sleep begins with childhood, obviously. Childhood mostly consists of unrealistic fears that children can share, with the cloaked figure haunting Nia throughout her childhood years. Nia's family included her sister and her hoe mother, who is neglectful and abusive. Nia's sister develops multiple personality disorder from her abusive mother, which gets her locked up in a mental hospital. Throughout Nia's life, she goes through different kinds of traumatic experiences and misfortunes that all manifest into the cloaked figure, like being assaulted in a public bathroom, or on a subway, or being a teenager. These moments in Nia's life create a hellscape in her dreams, which causes her to develop insomnia, which supposedly also causes her to be locked up in an asylum. Her experience in the asylum represents her mental decline and her isolation from the rest of the world. During insanity, or some point around insanity, these nightmares that caused her to develop insomnia would eventually mold into her day-to-day life like a dimensional merge of some kind. Excuse my flatulence. After being escorted back home from the asylum, Nia gets a feeling of dread at the thought of the asylum and her experience there, which is shown in Way Back Home. And her experiences in the asylum and her trauma and her nightmares still proceed to haunt her throughout her current life, as shown in Don't Get Your Hopes Up and in Way Back Home. So in the end, Nia develops maybe schizophrenia, as you can see the medication in the beginning of Way Back Home, or some mental illness, and she has to continue living with it. I Can't Sleep is a master at their work. They do a spectacular job at creating videos that just seem like violence or unnecessary, uncomfortable videos at first, but they do always contain a meaning. However, the full story may never be confirmed, and we may always keep I Can't Sleep a mystery. The story is up for any interpretation, so I would be down to hear any of your thoughts in the comments. I also recommend you guys watch Raymundo2112's video on I Can't Sleep as well. His video is very good, and he included a lot of really cool details about I Can't Sleep. A lot of the story of I Can't Sleep is up to interpretation, but my goal with this video was to create a somewhat logical timeline of events, as many events from these playlists seem to connect together in some way. But that's all from me. Subscribe, hit that bell button, hit that like button, comment whatever you feel like. Comment what you wore for Halloween, actually. Comment what you wore for Halloween. And I'll see you all in the next video.